Hi, my name is James Shepard, and today I want to share an exciting, really opportunity that I see right now in the industry for you to make a lot of money. Now, every once in a while, I see these opportunities and I start to notice a pattern with different consulting clients. And this is something, the idea of financing hardware, there's a lot of different ways to structure a model like this, but I'm going to talk to you about this kind of underlying need that exists in the marketplace and how you can fill that need and make a lot of extra money. So here's kind of the idea. So small business owners, whether they're e-commerce or physical location, restaurant, retail, it doesn't really matter. Every business right now fully recognizes that they have a need for technology. They recognize that they need a new point of sale system. Most pizza shop owners today realize that they really could use online ordering, but they don't want to pay for all these crazy 30% of all their revenue online ordering services. They need their own online ordering. They need a point of sale system. Maybe, an e-commerce business, they were doing something on Shopify, but they recognize that they really need their own setup. Whatever it is, you see these opportunities just like I do. And so these business owners recognize, wow, I really need technology. But the problem is that these small business owners don't usually have a lot of extra cash laying around. They're usually cash strapped. And so they don't have a lot of cash to spend, right? So how do we take advantage of this situation in order to make money, but also to help these small business owners to be able to get their business to the next level? Well, there's several different ways that you can structure this to help these small business owners while also increasing your profits. I'm going to start at one extreme and then kind of work my way over. So I'm going to give you three options, okay? The first one is an internal rental program, okay? This is something I've actually seen a lot of processors already doing, extremely effective. So the idea here is, if you have access to your own capital, whether it's you have money or you have, low interest financing you can get from a bank for your company or whatever it is, but you've got access to a lot of capital, okay? Well, what you can do with that capital is you can actually go buy the hardware and then you can rent it to the business. Same thing even with a website. You could even pay a web designer to, maybe it's going to cost $3,000 or $4,000 to build a website somebody needs. And you tell them, hey, look, I'm going to rent you the website for whatever it is, $200 a month or whatever. Now, websites would be a whole other thing. It's a little bit tricky there because if they stop using it, you're kind of stuck. You just have this website that nobody wants, right? But when it comes to hardware is a much better model because if you're renting a POS system to somebody, well, if they run into issues, what happens? They send the equipment back. So number one, you're going to have like zero attrition. Nobody wants to cancel if they have to send their point of sale system back, right? If you can shut down their point of sale system remotely because it's your system, that's a real problem for them. But when they do shut their business down and have to cancel, what do? You get your hardware, you refurbish it, give it to somebody else. So here's the pitch. The pitch is basically this. You tell a small business owner, hey, look, we got this great software. We have a $99 a month software fee. In addition to that, obviously you need the hardware. Now, you can buy the hardware for sure if you want to do that. It costs about $7,000. And then of course you have to pay for service and repairs if anything should go wrong. Our other option is we have a hardware software bundle for $297 a month. That includes that $99 software, but also it includes the hardware. And the great thing about that, Mr. Jones, is that then you don't actually own the hardware, you're renting it, which means if there are any problems whatsoever, that's not your problem. Just like if you're renting a house and the water heater goes out, who has to buy the new water heater? The landlord, right? We're like the landlord of your POS system. So if something goes wrong, we have to fix it. We will replace it. Now that also means if you end up canceling, obviously we get our equipment back, right? So we guarantee to give you great equipment, either new or totally refurbished, because we want to make sure you have reliable hardware, because if it breaks down, we're the ones that have to fix it, right? So it's great for the merchant because they don't have to come up with the money up front. They know for sure that they're getting, good hardware because it's in your interest to provide that. And if something should go wrong, they're not the ones stuck with the issue. It's your issue and you're going to fix it very quickly, right? So this is an amazing investment. I've seen a lot of situations where you might spend $2,000 on hardware for a business. Like, maybe it's a full Clover, maybe they need 2 Clover registers or something like that. You might spend $2,000 and you might be able to get upwards of $150 a month rent forever. Now, a lot of these businesses, they're going to still be using that system in 7, 8, 9 years. I mean, think about that. In 7 or 8 or 9 years, you still got somebody paying you $150 a month for something you invested $2,000, right? Imagine if there was an investment where it was $2,000 per share in a stock and you were getting an $1,800 a year dividend on that $2,000 investment. what is that, like a 80% return on investment? I mean, or I think that's actually 90%, isn't it? That's a pretty good, imagine if there was a mutual fund that said, we'll give you a 90% annual return on investment. You'd be like, wow, of course, right? So it's a huge opportunity, and you can do this in smaller ways as well. Maybe you want to rent, smart terminals or smaller POS systems or tablet POS systems, but the rental program is just a great way to do it because this is a way to get recurring revenue with a one-time investment on your part, and then you can refurbish it. So that's the one far extreme. Let's talk about the other two a little more quickly because it's not as big of an opportunity. The one in the middle is where you are actually providing the financing. So you're making money on the spread of both the interest and also the spread of how much you paid for the hardware and what you resell it for. So you might have somebody that wants to buy hardware. It costs you $2,000. You go and say, hey, look, we will do the financing for you for $3,999, and then we'll give it to you at 10% interest, and maybe you're only paying 5% interest on the $2,000, so you're making a really nice spread. You're making a couple grand off of the markup, but you're also going to make a little bit of money off the interest spread as well. So that's definitely another way to structure it. Now again, small business owners are definitely more leery about borrowing money, so you are putting up in my opinion, potentially an unnecessary barrier to entry there. To me, it's like, why not just do the rental, because, either way, they could go out of business and stop paying you, really. So I like the rental because then it's much more of an orderly transition. If something does happen that's catastrophic, because they're not going to cancel this unless it's catastrophic because it's the technology running their business, right? So if something catastrophic happens, at least with a rental, they're like, yeah, it's a rental. We're going to send it back. Whereas if it's a debt, they probably don't even want to call you because they don't want it. They're going to default and they don't want you to know where to find them, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's more of an issue with that. So that's an option. The third option, which is the option where you don't have access to capital at all, right? So you don't have any capital access. You have no money yourself. You don't have access to it. Then what you want to do is find these companies that will do this capital stuff for you, okay? Now, in our industry, a lot of people don't like to deal with leasing individual terminals. And, I'm fine with leasing terminals when it's done right, but I understand that. But this is different. This is not like a terminal lease. There are different financing options available. Just go online and look up equipment financing options. There are definitely companies out there that will do maybe like minimum $3,000 financing type stuff. And so make sure that at the very least, have some financing lined up for your clients. You need to do that because if you're trying to sell something to business owners right now and it's going to include technology, make sure you're giving them access to capital because otherwise you're probably not going to sell very many of them. So financing, equipment, and hardware, think about it. Think about what you could do to enable business owners to buy your technology with a lower barrier to entry. And I promise you, you're going to make a lot more money and a lot more sales. Have an awesome day.